Welcome to a galaxy far, far away. Here at the Cantina Podcast, we provide top shelf service, including rumors, leaks, news, and reviews. Come in, order a Loman Ale, and remember, no droids allowed. And hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cantina here on the GenreVerse YouTube channel and GenreVerse Podcast Network, available wherever you get those podcasts from. Hit the subscribe button or the follow button, depending on what you're watching or listening to us on. Interact, thumbs up, down, leave a comment. It really helps us out with the algorithms. I'm Kyle. The other person in full motion is Cam, and then the person with the big grin that's not moving is Shockey, who is facing the mighty winds of a hurricane, or well, the last outer rims of a hurricane right now. So how you doing down there, Shockey? You surviving?
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm surviving. I don't know why the internet's so bad. I mean, it's really not. It's like a normal rainy day. It's just a little bit of wind, but I guess my internet's not that great because of it. So I apologize.
Yeah, it's all right. Cam, how you doing today, bud?
Good. Yep.
Well, we're here gathered today to speak about Ahsoka episode 3. Review it, you might say. You guys can actually find Cam. He has his oh, hey, check it out, guys. Look, there's merch, including some Star Wars related merch. Link in the description box, our Redbubble. But Cam wrote, of course, a written review. You guys can find that. Where'd it go? Where's it at? What picture did you use? Oh wait, I'm on the second page because I wanted to read some comments. So let me load that up, and then let me go back up to the to the front page, and you guys can go up to lrmonline.com, click right there, and see Cam's written review. But spoiler-free kind of thoughts here on Ahsoka episode 3. We'll start with you today, Shockey.
I enjoyed it. It was reminiscent of the animated show, either Clone Wars or Star Wars or Rebels. It kind of had that feeling to it, especially when we have a little we're trying to be spoiler free. When there's some, I don't know, like space gymnastics or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. That was definitely kind of a call back to what you would see in the animated show, some goofy stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it was, I thought pacing wise was really well. It started just maybe a little slow for me at the beginning, but besides that, we got a lot of, kind of information. I feel a lot of information about where the New Republic is at this stage of, the timeline, the show. And then also, kind of setting up for the next episode, I think is going to be, episode, what was it? This was 3. So episode 4 seems like it's going to be a pivotal episode.
Maybe. Cam, what'd you think of this episode?
Yeah, I would agree with Mike. I enjoyed it. I don't think quite as much as the first two, but at the same time, no major criticisms of it, as a show itself. I also agree that it was a little bit cartoony in terms of the way the action set pieces were set out, but I kind of liked it. It was the right kind of cartoony for me in terms of, I was really worried, going into it. I could kind of see what was coming at various points, and I'd heard a couple of people online, sort of talking about one thing in specific. We'll get to in spoilers, and I just had the fear going in. And actually, when I watched it, I thought that was reasonably well done, at least not, enough that I can still suspend my disbelief and just enjoy the theatrics, if you like. I thought I agree with Mike about the kind of, it's nice to see a little bit more on where the New Republic is at the moment. And I quite liked some of the sort of one-on-one time between Dawson and Burdiso as well. I gave it a B+. What did you give it, Mike? She never said a grade.
A-.
Gotcha.
I'm still dealing with the whiplash from the drastic change and tone and everything, kind of like what we had from seasons 1 and 2 of Mandalorian compared to season 3. This kind of left me with the same compared to episodes 1 and 2 of this series to what we had this time. Cartoony is not the freaking word for it. It was quite upsetting to me just how jarringly cartoony this really ended up being. Yeah, and then there's a lot of little things that I'm gonna dig at. There's a lot of things to talk about in theories as far as like adaptations of Heir to the Empire and some characters that we've gotten here that we're starting to get a little bit more out of and from. You know, in the comments we had a lot of people mentioning different things about it being mediocre, being slow. Some people were like, oh, if you loved Andor but hate this because of speed, then, you know, hypocrite or whatnot. I don't think this was too slow. Even in episodes 1 and 2, it wasn't, for me, it was more about that we're slow, fast. It was the roller coaster ride for me. It wasn't that the show, I thought overall it was fine. It was just, I got tired of having to sit and linger on shots every time someone new showed up on screen. That was what was frustrating to me. Not a story pacing or anything like that. This episode, definitely the worst of them all for me. And I mean, other than the fact that it's made relatively competently, I'm so annoyed at so many little things. I gave it a B-. That's being generous. I really wanted to kind of give it a C+, but I felt like that would just be me pissing on it because it's not what I wanted, if that makes sense. So I try to be a little bit more fair and say, hey, this is what they're wanting to do. I don't like it, but yeah. So I gave it a B. I know there was a couple of comments about the HK droids. I think was it Alexander J that brought it up? Yeah. You wanted to say something about the HK droids, if I'm not mistaken, right, Shockey?
Oh, just that those HK droids, I know that, and this was not just one person. I know that there was kind of it's been online and on social media about why would you send, you know, droids to go take care of a Jedi, you know, after that whole situation with the Clone Wars and stuff. So the HK assassin droids date farther back than the Clone Wars. They go all the way back to, you know, the Darth Revan, era.
Knights of the Old Republic.
Knights of the Old Republic, right? And so the HK droids go through all these different variations of it. They're assassin droids, but what makes them so unique is that they're also protocol droids too. And so they can blend in with just about any scenario. And that was kind of the purpose of building those. But Revan, when he's Darth Revan, it's the iteration, I believe it's HK 50 or
47, is it not? 47?
So in the game it's 47. That's the
right.
So in Knights of the Old Republic video game, there's HK 47 assassin droid there. But the one that resembles what we saw in Ahsoka, I forgot which book it is, with Revan, but like Revan builds HK 47 and continues to have an assassin droid with him. And then from after Knights of the Old Republic, when Darth Revan, he makes another set. I think it's HK 50 or 55, somewhere around there, where he adds more armor plating to them, so they're a little bit more bulkier. But then also too, they put a bomb, basically, you know, what we saw in Ahsoka, in their chest as a way to basically sneak into what they were meant to do is to sneak onto ships and basically blow them up. So what we see in Ahsoka are those HK assassin droids, you know, probably maybe a little bit, you know, upgrades from the one from Revan's, but they're old relics, as you can probably tell. And was it Balin? I think it's probably Balin, the one who sent them. You know, is kind of emulating a little bit of Darth Revan, and that's kind of what I get from Balin too. Is that he's not a Jedi, he's not a Sith type deal. He's kind of in between. So it's kind of, I don't know if it's Filoni's way of incorporating Knights of the Old Republic and making, you know, a lot of people are excited because with the HK, you know, assassin droids, does that mean now Revan is canon, and will we get some sort of Knights Knights of the Old Republic show or Revan show, and where does that loophole? And so when it comes to, I get the for just the general Star Wars fan, why would you send droids after a Jedi, knowing from what we got from the Clone Wars, and why would you have those bombs on them when they could just blow up right at the beginning? And so you need I guess their primary mission was to get the map first, the ball.
That's correct. That's what I was going to say. Like, they don't know that Ahsoka is going to be there necessarily. They're there for the same purpose, and probably hoping to beat anyone else there. So that's why you send droids.
Yeah. Well, there you guys go, Alexander J and others watching. There's Mike's thing on the droid stuff. I really didn't pay that much attention to it. I kind of took it as them going there. If they could get it, great. If not, killer. Like, that's kind of how I
and the other thing about the bomb, like, taking a while to go off, I mean, you could accuse every single movie and TV show ever made of that then, where they all have a countdown timer, which is just enough for the hero to get away. It would kind of be a short show if they just blew up instantly the moment they
30 seconds
defeated with a nuclear bomb, and Ahsoka was dead, and that was the end of the show. So...
Yeah, it is what it is. Let's go ahead and spoilers. It's not like there's all sorts of like story stuff to really dig into too much, but we're no longer watching what we say, ladies and gentlemen. That's basically what spoilers means for here. Cam, the good stuff this week. Give it to me.
I mean, I like the sort of training stuff between Sabine and Ahsoka.
With the blast shield down, I can't see the target.
Yeah, I mean, there's that little bit of sort of homage back to the original trilogy, but of course, what I like is they're kind of sticking to the guns on Sabine being really quite limited, and someone who, yes, has been shown to have some sort of sensitivity in the Force, but it's like if Anakin Skywalker's here, at the zenith, if you like, then Sabine's away down the bottom below probably any kind of Force user we've really seen in the kind of series so far. And I like that it's a struggle for her, and that it's not a kind of easy thing, and that she doesn't just, suddenly, I thought it, and these things start appearing and kind of happening for me. And I quite like the nice touch of that as she grew more angry and aggressive, she became better. But, Ahsoka was warning her at the expense of what? So that was kind of cool. I liked the New Republic stuff, as I said. I thought it was quite interesting seeing like almost Mon Mothma being quite toothless and not really feeling as if she's got any power in that situation, and it's very much
and not Borsk Leia sitting there stirring the shit pot. Another human again. Where is the alien representation in the New Republic? No. In the New Republic.
Oh,
that's what I was saying. In the New Republic, because that was such a big thing in the old EU, was the racism of the Empire and the diversity of the New Republic, and it was immediately a thing of lots of stress and contention in the government, because you had the Bottans going, well, shit, we got you guys the second Death Star plans, and the Mon Cal were like, well, shit, we got you guys a fleet, real. And
it's just one guy called Manny Botten.
Yeah, right, Manny Botten. But yeah, it was shocking to me to sit there and not have more alien. I think there was one senator on the far right was the three-eyed on the stalks. I think
someone was definitely not human.
But then you have the opportunity. You're using him as Borsk. Why not go all the way? We still haven't seen any actual Bottans in live action, have we? What is with you, Star Wars?
No canon.
Seriously,
no canon.
What the frack?
Bothans in any comics or anything that are currently considered canon. No, it's a strange one. I want to know why they're so good at spying. Is it just a family of people called the Bothans, Davy, Charlie, and Manny? And they were just good spies. I don't know. But I kind of like from the Mon Mothma we see in Andor, which is a completely different situation. You know, she kind of looks a little bit as if, you know, she's got what she wanted there, but she's kind of out of her depth in terms of fighting this. And it almost, you know, for want of a better word, it kind of makes you look at, you know, the problems that caused the Empire to happen in the first place. In other words, that sometimes you need somebody strong, as Anakin would say, maybe someone should just make them all agree to what you do, which of course leads to Palpatine in the first place and the rise of the First Order. So, you know, I quite like that they're kind of playing with that, and they're showing us that they're genuinely, you know, the New Republic seem to think, well, you know, why would people be loyal to the Empire? But people were loyal to the Empire because they actually got shit done. You know, there was reasons that people wanted the Empire in the first place as well. And if it was better for them personally, then they don't really care what happens to other people. And that's just true. Quite a lot of
the human condition.
Sort of, the human, I guess we prescribe what we're like onto these alien creatures because we don't know anything else.
Exactly.
And then I thought the action was good as well. You know, I know you had some issues with it, but, you know, I thought it was a quite exciting sort of fight. And because I'd heard a little bit about it before I watched it and I was panicked about it, I kind of thought she was going to jump out there with no spacesuit on or something like that because of what I'd read. I'd read somebody say she jumps out onto the wing and deflects laser blasts with a lightsaber. And for me, I thought she jumps out there with no spacesuit and she's hitting them away like they did in Obi-Wan Kenobi, as if they've got no kind of kinetic impact at all. And that wasn't really the case. They kind of had her out there in a spacesuit, and she didn't really do that well. I think the only maybe criticism that you could say is very cartoony is that
they nerfed the hell out of the fighters that she was dealing with. They nerfed the frack out of them. Anyways, I'll get to the bad stuff in a bit.
But you know, I thought it was. The only thing was, like, you know, which is just a TV thing again. Like, why would they try and shoot her? Why not just ignore her and shoot the craft? But that's the kind of thing that we again that we see in a lot of media. You know, I think the idea behind it is that she's a target and she's attracted them towards her. You know, I mean, but believability wise, if we were talking, this was a realistic military thriller, it just wouldn't happen at all. They'd just send a missile. Yeah. Fly away, and that would be the end. Yeah,
and if it was one of the only things in there, it could be forgivable. Still not as bad as Finn and Rose being able to walk all the way back to that base in front of the enemy troops.
There always has to be suspension of belief in Star Wars, because Star Wars, even if you go right back to the original, there's so many things don't work. It doesn't work with physics. It doesn't make sense. You know, how do spaceships fly don't even make sense in space. They don't.
But at least try to maintain some consistency within. Yeah.
And sometimes they push the boundaries a little bit, and sometimes they break them. And when they break them, it's egregious. Awful. And when they push them, sometimes you go, okay, I'll let it go. And that was what it was for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna say the only really good stuff is some of the training stuff, some of the New Republic stuff, and then. The action scene was shot well, but I have a lot of complaints about that whole set piece at the end. Shockey, did you want to touch on some good stuff?
Yeah, kind of piggybacking on what you guys have said. The training scene I really appreciate. I think a lot of Star Wars fans too appreciate Sabine not being able to just jump right in and become a Jedi in less than 2 days. You know, because the past couple Star Wars movies and even shows and stuff, it just seems like everyone knows how to use the Force. Everyone can be handle a lightsaber, and let's go fight.
There'll still be some guy with a video out there that will say she's a Mary Sue, though. And she just as soon as she does something for the first time, they'll be like, see.
And so
on that, because I don't want to forget this, Shockey brain-wise, but on that. Last week, all the people about, how did she survive getting stabbed in the abdomen? Guys, she's not the first one. As a matter of fact, Obi-Wan Kenobi had someone survive a gut shot. She's not the first one. Qui-Gon got cheated. We're all well aware.
Hell,
Carry
Darth
on.
Maul got his entire limbs, bottom half.
As I
cut off.
say,
He got his whole
the
bottom
excuse
half
for
brought
Qui-Gon
back.
is he kind of just did have to lie there for a good maybe 10 minutes or something like that.
Head
know.
cannoning
I'm
that
dying.
into
If someone could save me now, it would be so good. Oh, Obi-Wan's
I just
fighting
need a
Darth
little
Maul.
back to
Oh,
patch.
Obi-Wan's falling off. This is not going well for me.
Hashtag justice for
Go ahead.
Qui-Gon.
There you go. Go ahead, Shockey.
All right, so I think though what we're seeing are the kind of the little seedlings and stuff to set up Sabine taking over Mandalore. Because if you remember, this is all the connected universe, right? And Sabine originally had the Darksaber, but then passed it on to Bo-Katan. So I think what we're seeing here is that going back all the way to,
and she had it rightly as well.
Yep.
Like she had won it initially, didn't she? So
right, and is it Tar Vizsla, who was the original Mandalore, who was a Jedi and stuff. So I think that you're bringing back that storyline from a Mandalorian also becoming a Jedi. I could see her creating a new Darksaber, now that the original one has been destroyed, coming over, taking leadership of Mandalore as the rightful leader. I think that's where we're setting it up is, this training, hey, I can't use the Force just yet, but I'm Mandalorian and so forth. So I'm appreciative of that it's just not jump right in, hey, I'm a Jedi in 2.5 seconds, even though, she's had a little bit of training and stuff. The Purgles, the animals that you see in the clouds, that's a nod to Star Wars Rebels. And if you watch Rebels, you know that the Purgles are the creatures that basically take Thrawn and Ezra to a different galaxy. So it's kind of like you're starting to see that piece put
what did
together.
you think of them? Because I thought they were a lot better in live action than what they were in animated.
Oh yeah,
I didn't like the way they looked in the animated. It all felt too earth, but I liked the idea of them, and in live action I thought they were a lot fuller looking and more menacing and mysterious.
Right, and from what there had been mentions of Purgles, or I think it was Purgles in the canon books and stuff, about a creature that can do hyperdrive, and so, but everything that you heard about him was that you never really saw them. They weren't out in the open as like how they were in Star Wars Rebels. Like Rebels, it was like they were out in space, and you could see them, but they were like these mysterious creatures that kind of resembled whale-like, and so seeing them in live action, how they were still in the clouds and you couldn't really get the full sense of them. I agree with you. I think live action wise looked a lot better than what we got in the cartoon or the animated series. So I'm with you, Kyle. The action sequence, it was comical to me, kind of the nod to the animated show with Ahsoka, having a spacesuit that forms right to her, her headpiece and everything, going out there and deflecting lasers.
I mean, it would be
stuff.
daft to have one that didn't fit her, I guess. Though
True.
you would find one for your spaceship that fit you.
Yeah, there was an episode in Clone Wars when Ahsoka was still a youngling. She was just like, I think it was season 1, where the entire helmet bubble went over her head instead of just her face. And then, but I guess it was comical to me, but at the same time too, I'm with you, Kyle. Like the military strategy to take out, you're in a large ship, aircraft carrier, when you wouldn't use big guns to take out a small ship, or no matter stars, you would send a fleet out to go after it. You wouldn't just send 5. And it's just something I always had a gripe with Star Wars. I don't know, maybe it's just me and having knowledge of aviation and flight patterns and stuff and how to properly attack, the constantly swirling around and just we're gonna shoot 3 times and not being really in an attack formation. It's comical now to me, I guess. I
also like how 2 flights, if I'm not mistaken, that would have been the term. 2 flights of 3 became 2 squadrons of 3. And I know that canon Star Wars doesn't hold to the old 12 base squadron, 3 flights of 4. 3 fights of 4 or 4 flights of 3 make up a squadron. Few squadrons make up a wing, yada yada, so on. But it's 12 base, so your average, squadron of X-wings or TIEs or whatever would have 12. Yeah, there was so much.
Could you
so
just
much
imagine, like, if you had, let's just say, the pilots of the Blue Angels sit down with, the people of Star Wars and be like, all right, so this is how aviation battles are supposed to look. Instead of, you're seeing TIE fighters and X-wings flying all across in a scatter, every man for himself.
You can't see it, but you can read it, and I can verify after having interviewed Mr. Mike Stackpole, the X-Wing books were researched and well thought, and if we could see something like that on screen, it would be great. I guess I'll carry on.
I'll just say one thing about that, though. We have to remember the most successful film in the last couple of years was Top Gun Maverick.
Yep.
Right, and it's supposed to be a semi-realistic based on Earth. And the shit that happened at the end of
this
that.
Is Tom Cruise's world.
The
what are you talking
things
about?
that happened in that movie were beyond anything I've seen in Star Wars.
I know, but here's the thing though, Cam. Here's where the whole consistency thing, and I'm carrying in with more of the bad stuff since Shockey kind of helped guide us over to there. Anyways. Star Wars literally has a line in the attack on the Death Star where they're like, our turbo lasers can't hit them. They're too freaking small. And here they are. They're like, we're now, all of a sudden, our turbo lasers have gone from being the big main cannons on like a battleship or a cruiser, the big guns that you use to take on other big ships. Turbo lasers again have been turned into, it looks like they're trying to be flak guns because, guys, what is this smoke shit that was all over that space fight?
Like,
what was that?
Yeah.
But you can have flat guns and call them something else because you've already said what turbo lasers are, and I hated it. And also when it comes to the flak thing, if the smoke makes no sense. Okay, I went back and watched the original trilogy, and I looked at the Death Star battle where turbo lasers are fired, and I looked at the second Death Star battle. Now, there are bright flashes from turbo lasers where you think of one of two things. The round, so to speak, has reached its, furthest distance it can go, and the energy basically pops, right? Because they're just flashes. There's no smoke. And the other one is it's hitting deflector shields, right? No, this one it's just pop smoke like a freaking cannon, man.
Let me think. Let me look it up real quick. But I wish they, instead of using the turbo lasers, is used what was in Slave One, the mines from, you remember Attack of the Clones with Jango Fett?
Yeah, the concussive mines. Yeah,
the concussion mines. I wish they did something like that where you're sending them out and you're seeing the concussion mine go off, and you have to avoid that.
Or it's what you would actually use, which is a bunch of smaller guns.
Oh yeah,
all firing a bunch. And
but
covering a bigger space with more smaller rounds. Because that's what this type of ship is.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh my god.
And I think that's.
But that's the thing is it makes it so dumb.
What does this Morgan Elsbeth know? She's an idiot, and that's why she says, "Hey, I'll get them with the turbo lasers."
Okay, so she's
they're not turbo
she's
lasers.
She's a witch. Why not just use witch powers?
Not only that, but she's going after the most military genius in the world, and you don't think that she has some staff members or a droid brain that's been uploaded with frickin' naval combat frickin' standard operating procedures and protocols. It's stupid.
They could have beat the Ewoks. Man,
oh my god! I mean, don't get me started. George Lucas and his affinity
that was for toys, guys. That was for toys.
God.
Toys and merchandise.
And that's another thing. That's another
thing in Return of the Jedi when the Super Star Destroyer goes up in a big puff of flame.
Well, no, because you've got atmosphere on the ship.
Doesn't matter. It's an infinite vacuum in space. It would have
you
immediately
can at least sit there and say and that's, we really haven't been able to prove or disprove that because we've not done big explosive things in space to see how much, and then you have to scale it up.
A vacuum. No,
but we can't scale up. We can't scale up to the size of something that is, a floating city filled with gases and things. Like, what I'm saying is that's relatively, like you said, that's easier to suspend your belief than a laser beam that needs to arc. A laser beam that needs to arc in The Last Jedi, and then this one, a laser beam that explodes into smoke. Like,
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. No, I'm not arguing that you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that the Return of the Jedi one annoyed me just as much as that.
It didn't as much, but I can get it. The other thing that really pissed me off is there's no stakes because the frickin' World War II P-52 Mustang Zero wannabe ships that the bad guys were using, their laser cannons were frickin' pea shooters. There was no damage. They hit so many times on the ship, and sure, it's got good deflector shields, but they got so many hits. At some point, those shields should have been, taken down, and a couple shots should have gotten through. But in order for them to get the silly gymnastics and stupid shit that they wanted Ahsoka to do, they had to nerf the I mean, they didn't have to. We had the awfulness that is Obi-Wan Kenobi show.
Maybe they did it,
dude.
As
they
a reaction to that. I don't know.
It's so, but it makes the whole thing feel completely like zero stakes. Like, there's no way. And yes, I know we already know the heroes are going to survive to the next episode, but this again takes away that suspension of belief ability where you're just like, they're basically shooting at them with BB guns in space. That's what they made it so they could do this scene, and that feels just so gross to me, especially coming off of, like I said, relatively competent episode 1 and 2, and of course coming off of Andor earlier this year, which was just freaking phenomenal. Dude, like, it was shot mostly well. Like, if you followed mostly of the same trajectory, change the weapons that Elsbeth uses, change the ships up, and get rid of the stupid freaking, oh my god, then I wouldn't be having this. But this was just freaking cartoony, man. And
I think that was the purpose of this episode.
But that's the thing.
Yeah.
Again, just like Mando, people are like, well, I mean, it's all, but Mando didn't start as that. This is supposed to be set in that same universe, and I know Book of Boba Fett was too, and it got stupid cartoon. Where it
came from, which is Clone Wars and Rebels as well.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. It's an homage to.
Okay, but again, you have a very much more Mando season 1 and 2 feel for the first 2 episodes of this before it goes to this. And all I'm saying is, I said it before, cartoony Star Wars is not for me, and that if Ahsoka showed itself to be, and I'm not saying I'm out right now because of one episode, but if Ahsoka showed itself to be like, you got Mando season 3, and then you got this Ahsoka, and if they continue down that whole, hey, we're just doing live action cartoon. I don't need live action I love cartoons, not the Star Wars ones. I don't care, but I love animation. I love animation probably more than Cam or Shockey do, and not just anime, but definitely into that as well. I don't need my cartoons to be live action. I need my live action to be live action, and live action Star Wars had a feel to it that was at one point completely different than what they were doing with the cartoons, which was fine. I wish it could go back to that. I don't need my cartoons in live action. I can watch my cartoons animated because I think animation is every bit as good, can be every bit as good as live action in look and feel and aesthetic, not aesthetic, looks and feels. But I don't need to dumb down Star Wars so you can make it like a cartoon. It didn't need to be done, and that to me is just so frustrating.
Yeah.
Cam, did you have anything else bad that you wanted to add to it or come back off or rebut, whatever?
I mean, I can't really rebuttal, if you like, because I mean, I guess it is the way you feel about it. I guess, though, you know, for somebody that loves animation, you kind of, it has to be the right animation, though. So because you don't like the animation style, you won't give Clone Wars and Rebels a chance.
Well, no. The number one reason is I don't give a frack about prequel era crap, including the characters. And I know Rebels is set after,
Rebels
but it's also
really
childish. It's very childish, and it's not the childish cartoon that I'm gonna get into, like a Teen Titans Go or a
but that's what I mean.
Amazing World
it's not
of Gumball.
Like that level of childish, you know.
So.
It's somewhere in between, isn't it?
Hmm.
You know, and it's quite popular amongst the fan base. You have to remember.
Yeah.
So they are catering to a lot of that. But you know, at the end of the day, if that's how you feel, that's how you feel. So, you know, yeah. No rebuttal.
What do you think about the
such.
nerfed ships and stuff? I mean, does it not bug you that it just? I mean, it's almost like you know, the canon is what it needs to be. The tone is what it needs to be. The style is what it needs to be.
I don't know.
The heart
The
of
ships
what Star
just look
Wars
like
is
old crappy ships to me.
Yeah,
that
they
weren't
were
really fit for being fighter planes, but it's what they had to hand.
Why
you know
aren't
what
they?
I mean?
Why do they have
But remember,
that?
like TIE
They
fighters
weren't
don't have
expecting. It's
shit.
all secret. You know,
Yeah.
they're not really. They don't seem to have that much military.
Wow, these are
presence with
the
them at all.
worst people in the world to go rescue the greatest tactical mind
Well,
in Star
and it's
Wars.
all-
I
well,
can't
they're
wait
not-
to see
they
him.
weren't
In the
into it.
hyperspace ring, isn't it?
Yeah.
What's that?
You got to remember that like Balin and his crew weren't out to really find Thrawn. That's, you know, Elsbeth, and she's the one that's got the new technology. Like,
And where's all of her stuff? Where's all of her
putting it all on the
resources
ship that she
and,
has,
and
that big ass ship.
people and
I mean,
stuff?
that's the way I looked at it.
Oh my
She's
God.
She's
Oh my
kind
God.
of, it's all been put into that. You know,
Okay.
it was hidden. They
Sure.
didn't think anybody was going to get
Yeah.
So it wasn't really, like,
Sure.
compared to an Imperial, if that had been an Imperial project, they would have flew in there and there would have been TIE fighters and Star Destroyers straight after them, you know, and
Right.
Okay.
if they did something like that in Rebels, it'd have been like straight away again. So yeah,
Alright, well.
I don't know. It's
Yeah, and it all- like, in
just a
ships too.
difference of opinion. But
Yeah,
you know, what I liked about it was that they didn't try to make her deflect like big,
I'm
Blaster
glad for
and then
that.
it didn't quite work
I'm glad
out for
for
her
that.
because she did get it blasted off the
Mhm.
ship flying away as well. You know, it wasn't exactly the best plan in the world.
I don't
you know?
I don't know why she needed Sabine to roll the wing to her. She's very, very capable of the Force, and including telekinesis. Couldn't she have just grabbed onto the ship herself with the Force?
Only
Leia
Leia
did
can
something
do
like
that.
that.
Only
can
Leia,
do that.
yep.
It's just
Only
the
Leia
Leia
can
is
do
a Skywalker thing,
inconsistencies.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Theories.
right on that, but that's a
Okay.
Leia issue as well for me. You know,
Yes,
that's a last Jedi issue.
absolutely. It shouldn't have. I mean, look,
Shouldn't have
yes,
happened.
even Luke had gone EV in the EU, you know, but not exposed with a life preserving suit, you know, flight suit on. He had gone EV. Other Jedi have. I'm not necessarily for Leia. It was the fact that she was fully exposed and out there for a minute. Getting into theories. So we've got not Borsk Filea, which I can't remember if that's the actual pronunciation or not, but that's how I pronounced it growing up reading the book. So we've got not Borsk. Anyone starting to think that Sabine is not Mara? Because I'm getting the feelings, especially now since you got the her not quite as much skill. She's got another Jedi encouraging her. Ahsoka, Luke encouraged Mara on their trek through the forest. She's about to be on the forest with an old Jedi who's got an apprentice who's blonde, Jorus Seaboth, or Jorus. We'll just call him that in the Heir to the Empire books. He had his own blonde apprentice no one knew about, Luke with two U's. I think we might have our not Mara in a way of Sabine Wren. We've got our not Borsk, we've got our not Jorus. Does anyone think that it's possible that the girl, I forget, Shin might be a Luke clone from the Hand? Like, I
see
mentioned
Shin
that we
more as
might
the not
see
Mara though. That's what
a
I
Luke
think.
clone. You think she's the not
Yeah.
Mara?
I put her as more
that's-
when I
That was my thoughts as well. I agree with Mike. Yeah.
If we see something from her, because right now she's just complete lackey with no
She's not
no
had
nothing
much
there,
development.
no
yet.
agency, no nothing. So it could be, but
I'm guessing
Yeah.
we might see the start of something, but it depends. She could also just killed at some point, and that's the end of Shin, whatever her name is, and okay, we move on. But I always kind of had a feeling once they get introduced that we'd see more of Shin than we ever would of Balin, and I know now with Ray Stevenson that
yes,
you know, it's sad that will be the case, but that was kind of my thought process behind that he was more likely to be killed than her survive and maybe be out on her own, masterless, and could come round again later on, either as an antagonist or, you know, in some other kind of way. I'm not sure where they're going with it in terms overall. I think where they're going with the Ahsoka itself is that I think it's not going to be right till the very end of this series that we kind of get to this other galaxy. You know, that's really the kind of finale event.
Yeah.
So I'm not expecting to like see too much Thrawn and maybe not much Ezra either. So yeah, I could see that there has to be some kind of moment where Ahsoka gets her ass kicked or she gets hurt in some way, and it's like downtime, you know, where she can, I don't know, reminisce about Anakin or something before they kind of bring all that sort of stuff in as well. I just, you know, that's my kind of thoughts, that they go next week and it doesn't kind of go well for Ahsoka in some way, but Sabine's all right.
They're down there on the planet.
But obviously, you know, I think I don't want to say like almost a death, but something almost thematically like that, because I think Dave Filoni's talked before about, you know, liking a sort of Gandalf and how he come back as Gandalf the White after a kind of death experience. So that's the way I would guess that we could be going, but I don't know what's going to happen with the bad guys, to be honest.
Any theories there, Shockey?
I just more interested in Balin and his motivation. Like, all we've gotten is like, you know, hey, if you find Thrawn, it's ultimate power. So this could go a lot of different ways. Could Balin be the key that brings back the Emperor? You know, like, is that how the Emperor returns? Is through Balin finding some sort of things? You know, is there an event that happened, you know, that causes, you know, Balin to leave the Jedi Order and, you know, not necessarily turn to the dark side, but kind of be in this in-between phase where he's using both dark and light. That to me is interesting, and I'm with you guys when it comes like Ahsoka. I think that, you know, episode 4 or 5 is, you know, she's either something's gonna happen where, you know, because we've got to follow the true, you know, hero's journey. So there's got to be some sort of failure here, and it sends her to the world between worlds, and that's where she sees Anakin or something, or maybe, you know, Morgan, Elsbeth, and Balin are successful to take off in this ship and go straight to Thrawn, and so then they have to figure out a different way to get to this new galaxy, and maybe it's the world between worlds accessing and kind of skipping across, and, you know, that point there.
I mean, I guess I never thought about that. It could be used as a travel method as well, couldn't it? You know, the way it works in the cartoon, it wasn't just, you know, the idea is, they are the same thing, space-time as the one thing. So, you know, it kind of makes sense in terms of how we our human basic understanding of how the universe works anyway, which is probably...
I saw some people trying to line up Milky Way maps with the maps on that.
Gosh.
I just, guys, and I know people will point to Indy and ET, but no, please no. We need actual escapism every now and then, and the idea of something that can't even, I don't even want Earth to exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how it is that big of a deal to me that Earth does not exist
Just a
within
different
Star
universe
Wars. It has
completely.
to be. It
Mhm.
has
no
to
way
be.
in it.
It has to be. It has to be that way. It has to be. I can't even. Anyways, did you guys have any other thoughts on this? It went longer than I thought it would be for one episode.
Yeah, the shortest episode yet. well.
Yeah, right. You know, be sure to stay tuned here, guys. If you enjoyed the conversation, you know, join us in the comments down below, whether you're watching on LRM online, which is great. Be sure to check out more stuff there, as well as celebrity interviews that go up on the LRM YouTube channel. You can access all of the podcasts. There's great written articles and news coverage. The merch, you can click that link and actually bring you over to the merch site on Redbubble. Lots of great content, anime reactions, reviews, trailer reviews. There's going to be if you're into One Piece, Breaking Geek will be reacting to the first episode of Netflix's live action adaptation. If they're not reaction videos, all the podcasts with the reviews and stuff like that and news coverage go up on all your favorite podcast apps. Shockey, anything else for the good people out there?
If you're interested in, you know, you have a podcast you want to get on here and we help expose your podcast, send us an email, send us a message. We're looking to expand. We're, you know, trying to head into the next year by making LRM bigger and better. And the only way we're going to do that is to expand our crew. So if you got an interest in writing reviews or talking about anything, whether it's Star Wars, Star Trek, anime, heck, even sports, we're always taking it. So shoot us a message and we'll get you on here.
Yep, absolutely. Cam, do you have anything to say to all the bad people out there?
Be good.
Be good.
There you go.
All right, guys. Until next week, may the force be with you.